Family Leonardo, me Nasiladi Don Multimedia, the CEO Voice of Salon. Today I come for talk to now, my family, make una continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel and share to our friends them. As we always try to bring on the latest news what they happen around Salon, whether be politics or any other news them, what they happen or gossip, what they bring on to them live and direct. So please, my family, don't forget to subscribe and share to our friends them. You wanna touch the bell icon so that you don't miss any video we will try for bring out to now. So that's also we want make una don't forget also for subscribe to we TikTok channel on TikTok and also on Facebook or Facebook page or the Voice of Salon or also the on Instagram Voice of Salon. Please family, and don't forget to share. Okay, thank you now. Tata.
Ephesians. Today, now the 5th of September. I'm sorry, now the 6th of September 2025. I get problem with my denture. You know, they don't remove a number of teeth. Now the lower gum will it affect me intonation and my delivery it become sluggish and not very clear because where they go I don't develop speech can dey na my mouth wey you have for comot, but that problem hopefully with long life I hope the dentist wey dey make arrangements for go set the teeth dem e go able for overcome the problem. A lot has happened. Ephesians. I no go say and the people in this country would get for the electoral justice. This is very important. And watching people and they fail for realize is that this electoral justice now a phenomenon. Then when they all read English history, then go tell you say the Battle of Bolsward will definitely end the War of the Roses when Richard III lost his crown to Henry VII. That period, that day, the Battle of Bolsward came to an end, was the defining moment of England. So they call it the epoch, EPOCH. Now the only country in the world who get that defining history of the epoch. To the Englishman, they even look at them equally like the Magna Carta. And that is what Samura is about when he succeeds as president of this country, we go get that singular honor forget a defining moment where any Sierra Leonean for generations to come will see now an epoch-making event, a watershed. Governor no say elections in this country since independence are always characterized or marred with irregularities from 1961. Even before we became independent, the 1952 elections will usher in Samilchini first government. Then 57, the split will be there between Sir Albert and his elder brother, the PNP, what they call Pekin and Pekin. When they went into the election, there were a lot of, petitions because they believed that those elections were marred by irregularities. Then, of course, the 1962 elections, go say totally was free, fair, and transparent because there were a lot of issues. Before the elections, people were incarcerated. After that, Lancaster House meeting will usher in the independence. The then Secretary for the colonies, Ian MacLeod, he had a lot of hope for Sierra Leone because he feels Sierra Leone get all the trappings for let it be a successful, buoyant nation in the Committee of Nations. He had a lot of hopes. Ian MacLeod, he was a great man. And since then, all elections have been marked by violence, rigging, maiming of people, destruction of life and property. And the 2023 elections was no exception. And all the observers, they come out openly that those elections were not only marred or fraught with irregularities or statistical inaccuracies, but they no reflect the will of the people. And their lies, and they put it into proper perspective because it is my field. And one thing I gained from the chieftaincy, I had ample time to read because it's never late to acquire knowledge. Education, not to just wait common at university, he graduates. That is the beginning. The learning. When you go through and through learning, then that is the essence of learning. And one thing why I respect the administration of my late brother, President Ahmed Tijan Kaba, his reverence for learning. That provision we make for the girl child. Then, of course, the how they call ourselves, the Sababu educational program. It taught now all the nook and cranny of this country. If we don't get reverence for learning, if we don't endeavor for educate, we youths who are the leaders of tomorrow, they now go expect this country for the cause. But Now for the accolade to the far-sightedness of Dr. Samura, this electoral justice. Now a phenomenon, the epoch making, the watershed for the Republic of Sierra Leone. Now let me come to the point. I want Yansane and his cohorts to know this. Because why they, and I mean for them, set me much. But when you go to me brother-in-law in funeral, Chief Masiandi, let me ask his sister, big sister, Reverend Yansane. He go tell her, say, Masiandi and my wife, they get relationship. So now me come on. He go for a funeral. He dey go make innuendos. Ambassador Yansane, I regard you as a younger brother. You cannot subject me to blackmail. It is not fair to you and to myself. And I say this, Ephesians, and let all of you note that power is dynamic. Now, a shifting perspective, a shifting paradigm. Nothing is permanent and nothing lasts forever. Everything comes to an end. Mortal man for recognize this. Everything comes to an end. However powerful it may be, the Almighty, the Omnipotent, it will must bring unto an end. This audio to me is very important. And what I've just said is a golden rule that everything comes to an end. And as I said, it is important, classical, and set to put things in their proper perspective. The truth is generally seen really hard. I hope Yansane will note that quote. Ephesians, I came out with an audio on Saturday, 30th August 2025. It dwells on two concerns. One, the primary responsibilities of a political party as provided by law, section 35, subsection 1 of the 1991 Sierra Leone Constitution, Act number 6. The second concern was the blame game and the tendency for the executive to act in bad faith. Surprisingly, the reaction of the APC leadership was not only emotional, but very unsavory. But they deal with the political party and it concerns the power game. When I don't know, say, the most fundamental skill in the game of power is the ability of those in leadership for control their emotions. If you're not leader, you don't control the emotions. It is strategically unproductive. And when I ridicule yourself, the attempt for embarrass Chief SOMANOH KAPEN, now you don't subject una to ridicule. And to me, I said that reaction was emotional and very unsavory. The caption of the acting PRO's response, where they refer to me as Chief SOMANOH, former chairman and leader of the SLPP, leaves me without doubt that the contents of that message are the handiwork of the acting chairman, O.F. Yasaneh. I believe sincerely that he wrote that piece of statement. And I want to say this very clearly and emphatically. Now that has been a danger. I do not want to be dragged into a web of deception that borders on a cocktail of deceit. Me na a senior citizen. I no want let somebody for create a veneer of deception for tarnish my character. To me, this is evil. Since then, the social media has been replete with the litany of reactions. So many reactions. 90% of them were very positive. 10%, 5% now the doubters and people who don't know who side for stand. And the balance 5%, now they want the whole day behind them people there for destroy the APC, who the founders there spend so much time, energy, resources for build one of the most powerful political parties in the west coast of Africa. But the good thing about these reactions, they carry the badge of sympathy. Because that was the first time they knew what happened. The terrible things that happened behind the scene. And those acts who happened behind the scene depict clearly the ordeal that Dr. Samura W. KAMARA was forced to go through due to blackmail, calumny, and hate. Those of you that do not know, I want you to know that then guys here, the national executive, to me in its entirety, at all levels, they get morbid hatred for Dr. Samura KAMARA. Because I've been part of some of these side meetings, the efforts he has been making behind the scenes to get things right. To let these guys understand that if the party come into power, it is for they will work in the interest forgive the greatest good to the greatest number. And I want to draw attention to a significant development in the APC's emergence, because the APC be there in the doldrums, in the wilderness, political doldrums or political wilderness for a very long period after the coup of the NPRC in 1992. They only got the realms of power again in 2007. So that is the period of wilderness I talk about. And that significant event, now the departure of my younger brother, the Honorable Victor Foe, the former vice president, as Secretary General of the party. That was a tragedy. His departure heralded the triumph of mediocrity, culminating in the transformation of the party into a theater masquerade that bred and nurtured the most dangerous phenomenon in political science we call the cult personality. And that cult personality would then create after the departure of that man, Victor Foe. I don't lead me to this mess. Because cult personality has the trappings of tyranny, dictatorship, lack of political tolerance, and society will be not open, freedom cannot be a rightful commodity, but one of privilege, which is not good. Victor, I call him Victor. He was my junior at Swabe College. Me belonged to the Durham breed. It was Swabe College, University of Durham. Victor, he belonged to the USL breed. And the first graduation ceremony they had under Professor David Nicol, that be 1968. So we be fortunate or unfortunate for graduates in 1967. And that was the last batch of the Durham breed. But the motto, non-CB said allies, not for themselves but for others, imbibed into we. And anybody who go through the Mount Orel, they should have pride in that motto. But what I want to say is, apart from the fact that Victor was a fine and disciplined administrator, he no mix by the habit for destroy others by infecting, where they infect people on your own misfortunes. If they bend their ears, you whisper, convince them on something which is not in the interest of the party but for thyself. So in successor, now that habit they bring into the party. It is all for thyself and not for the rank and file. What would they call the grassroots? You have seen it, it has been demonstrated, and this has caused the biggest problem in our contemporary political realm as I speak to you today. Let me now deal with the 2 seats in the pod. And now just by way of introduction. Now I will deal with the 2 seats in the pod. But this drama on September 30 to now. And those 2 seats are unhappily and unfortunately, now Ambassador O.F. Yansane, me know they make innuendos. Because every time Yansane they talk, they make innuendos. And good politicians of patent integrity, they don't make innuendos. Politics now about frankness, openness. But they begin to argue. What transpired at Mashandi's funeral? It was very demeaning. Very, very demeaning. That man is of character, remarkable character. We lost him because we needed his counseling. Someone we don't fix appointment for no visitor just for find ways to bring things together. The day for 2 days for no good day, now they then phone say the man in condition don't deteriorate. So we cancel that week. The only thing now we need is waiting for survive that sickness. Now, by that buried, this man they go. They begin to go talk, make innuendos. They say hint no a master, Cabaslot no a missus. But some of the people that will be referred to, I know. I'm pretty sure anybody when they listen to that audio, that statement, you would really know say Chief SOMANOH in the target. For the answer, why? Why are you doing all of these things? I bid for you, a senior for you in the service. I get the dual conscience. You don't have the dual conscience. Who very few in this country who get that dual conscience. Being well educated, you attain a senior position in the civil service or in corporate administration, then later you become a paramount chief. You don't possess that. You don't. You do not. So why they always they measure me? you na dwarf. I'm telling you, because I big for you, I senior for in the service. The time when I was permanent secretary in trade and industry, you were still acting senior assistant secretary in the Ministry of Works. Now, my late brother, Frankie, big brother, that man, they are more or less me in a twins from Form 1, Form 6, Chief Rabe College, who graduated the same day. Now, sleep, they make low parts. The late BK, let God be a good road. He was instrumental. Now, to the other man, no go call his name. Where he facilitates for bringing una into the civil service. I was with him when he went to LA Coca. Because he been rent LA Coca in residence, who did this place as crab talk. But not to everything for review. Stop this type of thing, my friend. So now, 22 polls, that hand of you, Ambassador Ansane, you are the Cassius in the Shakespearean play, Julius Caesar, Cassius. One of the lead conspirator for assassinate Julius Caesar. Your ability lies in infecting people. That is your ability in the game of power. Your character and emotions are very intense. Or anybody when they listen to you audio them, you go know say your character and emotions are always intense. You dey present yourself as a victim. I hope people understand. Making it difficult at first to see your miseries as being self-inflicted. All the miseries you get, the disappointments there, they are self-inflicted. And before you realize the real nature, before anybody they realize the real nature of his problems, it go not affect the person who you discuss the issue with. And your infection they stem from the chronic dissatisfaction, i.e., that during the period of EBK, appoint you as minister or the highly exalted position of secretary to the president. And now for Samura, of late, you say Samura rob you of the right, not even the privilege or opportunity to make you the co-chairman of the party in the tripartite committee. He made certain remarks about Kelfala. And surprisingly, that man, when he asked, he said he have forget discussions with Samura. He went, Samura called 2 or 3 of us for president so that we were able to settle certain issues. When he go, he say, not to we expect for that, if he can't for make a discussion normal with him. Then I told him, I said, this would have been a very, very unique opportunity for discuss this there in Uyo presence. Two heads are better than one. So they know for they in this plight. This is the type of attitude. Highly experienced people, because you served as a cabinet minister. What is to be a cabinet minister? It is not functionary. Has it made any marked difference in the progress or development of this nation? Some of you had this opportunity to make a difference. Nothing. You went there as co-chairman. Since then, have you made any reports? Change today, the thing just the way. Nothing. Since that thing they come to an end. None of una will represent the APC. No ever get the courtesy for apprise the membership of the party. We don't even know what's in the provision of Section 35, subsection 1. When they go into politics, we don't know they even read the constitution of this country. When they make mockery of politics in this country. I served in London, and believe me, in China, the experience I gained in the People's Republic of China cannot be matched anywhere. Yes. That man they did in politics, a country of over 1 billion population. The one they would they choose, not the one they will get that character, patient integrity. So now I know the debates. I'm still on Yansane. Like Cassius, Yansane don't affect most of those in the top echelon of the party with his own rancor, bending their ears daily with instances of Dr. Kamara's, that is Samura's evil. Anyway, we get opportunity for talk with. Now for paint Dr. Kamara as being an evil person. And he succeeded. Sorry, because I've been getting an interruption. Somebody came to me in the midst of my delivery. As I say, Yansane, it don't completely influence the top echelon of the party. And in that process, he has won the likes of Ibike, Minkailu, Lansana Doumbouya, and Tunis. And this don't signal, now this signal the beginning of this great betrayal, what to me is wholly unprecedented in the history of any political party in Sierra Leone. What I can say about Yansane is, and this is a fact, he's very cunning, he's very elusive, and strangely, he apply the techniques of the grill. So forget such a person in the net, to get such a person in the net, I had to apply the art of timing. Because somebody forgets an uncanny sense of timing. And I also use the skill of patience. Otherwise, you're not going for trapper. You're not going for trapper. It's very cunning. People that if what they affect people, they're very, very cunning. It's difficult for trapper. The meeting at the Embassy of Ireland on 30th August 2025 now served the death knell who hit the nail in the coffin. And I can now confirm that Yansane is now tightly in the net with EU cohorts, big time. And if I not say that I am a master in the game of power, and that game of power requires a knowledge in psychology for the cipher how the human being they behave. Because one thing, let me state it very clear and for people to note that the human being is infinitely complex. You will never understand the human being. And that is why Voltaire, the French philosopher, and I hope you read European history. Voltaire, you have Voltaire, Lafayette, and all the other people. Voltaire said, "Oh Lord, protect me from my friends, for I already know my enemies." And then that happened. You were so close. For years, for decades, so close to Samura as a personal friend. Now you have done this to him. And that was why Caesar said, "Et tu, Brutus, and you, Brutus." So even now, borrow the robes of Brutus in addition to those of Cassius. Play the two roles. If you not say me now a master in the game. And that for being master in the game of power, if you forget knowledge in psychology. Yes, and don't you know that samurai is the sleeping lion or dragon? Of course, you don't get that Chinese experience. The Chinese, they talk of the sleeping lion or the dragon. You cannot use your bare hands when you meet a dragon, a lion when they sleep. You say because the lion they sleep. If you use your bare hands for skin them, you go end up forget the lion for devour you. Now, almost if what is happening comes to reality, Samurai becomes the president. The sleeping lion who use bare hands for skinner. What happens? The man no need for apply the Moses law. And Moses law neither they apply in the game of politics, in the game of power. If you know that, now for that way they ban politics, you will be very careful. Because antem ne mapa araken, mama dimsi akrang, umpoe dimsi bet so ten the ken the Lord the che. Ma fe mantere, man pantai kakrenye na so the thing they make che it turn to an inferno. So when you apply the Moses law, which is the accepted norm in the game of power, when you get a bitter enemy, what they seek not only your body but your soul, you need to apply the Moses law. Afmasaba unfortunately do come mboche for boil. If you watch that pot there, you know they boil for let overflow. Now that they say a washed pot never boils. Would you have let read? Not the word they go to na public they talk. Old people know they even understand what you talk and they say banking mode. You are less knowledgeable in the realm or what you they say in the game of power. You're not knowledgeable. You don't get any scant of knowledge in that. You are zero.